And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to A Day in the Life of. I'm your host, Jason Dowd, and each week we're going to take you up close and personal to see some people doing some amazing jobs or getting to see how they live their lives. And today we have a celebrity with us. We have Jennifer McGill. She is a part of the new Mickey Mouse Club from season 1 to at least season 6, and she's also a singer-songwriter who just released her brand new CD, Unbreakable. Now this interview is very special to me because I watched Jennifer grow up right in front of my face on the new Mickey Mouse Club. I never missed an episode. I've seen every episode from season 1 to season 9. And what I really loved about it is I get to see these kids that were my age performing, singing, dancing, and doing some things I just couldn't do. But I always had in the back of my head that I wanted to be a Mouseketeer too. And I was hoping for that opportunity. Unfortunately, it never came. But I had my closest opportunity when I moved to Florida because Disney MGM was right in my backyard. Well, kinda. And I was only about an hour and a half away. Now, Disney MGM is now Hollywood Studios. And Hollywood Studios wasn't always a theme park. It was a place where shows like the Mickey Mouse Club and Star Search were taped. Jennifer's going to take us around Hollywood Studios and show us some of the hot spots that she remembers, like where they taped the Mickey Mouse Club, where they taped Star Search. She's going to show us where some of these songs like Hold On were taped and where some of these skits were done. She's also going to give us some really cool stories about Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears, all of whom were also Mickey Mouse Club members. Then we're going to kind of give a little idea of what Hollywood Studios was like, and she's going to be talking to us about her CD, which I have right here, called Unbreakable. I love this CD. She's an amazing performer, and she even signed it for me. And she's going to tell you how to get your own autographed version of the CD as well. So we have got a lot of stuff to cover in just a little bit of time, but I think you guys are going to really enjoy this particular adventure that we're going to have. And if you have never seen Hollywood Studios, now you're going to be able to see it in a different light. So when you come down here, you're going to be able to look for these exact same landmarks that she's going to be talking to us about, and hopefully have your own little adventure as we're going to show you. So right now, I got my Mouseketeer shirt on. Hopefully I'm going to be an official Mouseketeer, and we're going to be heading out to Hollywood Studios to meet up with Jennifer McGill, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a second.
Chase!
Dee Dee! Mark! Lindsay!
Albert!
Jennifer! Josh! Brandy!
Ricky!
Alana!
Jason!
Tiffany!
Kevin!
Mylene!
Damon!
Moeva!
Fred! And you!
Hey guys, I'm here with Jennifer McGill from the Mickey Mouse Club. How cool is that? I'm an official Mouseketeer today, hopefully.
Love it.
You gonna make me a Mouseketeer?
Well, I think just being around you, you're just going to be a Mouseketeer because you're in the right location with the right person.
That's right.
Rubs off.
And we're going to do something really cool here today. What we're going to do is she's going to take you through her entire life in the entertainment industry, where it started here in the Mickey Mouse Club and leads to her singing career, where she has an amazing CD out, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But she's also going to take us on a tour through Hollywood Studios, where this all happened. She's going to show us some really cool points and stuff. So let's introduce you. Welcome.
Hi! It's so good to be here. I love revisiting this park. This was my backyard for many, many years. We're in an area that hasn't changed that much. It's the Brown Derby, and I was just telling Jason how, the ice cream dinosaur is still there, one of my favorites, and how I remember in 1988 I visited the park before there was grass like in all of the planters, and there was still plastic on all the carpet, and of course the theater was in full view, and they were still using cranes to put statues on top of hotels and a lot of different artwork around. So yes, most of the park has changed, and we'll give you a little bit of insight on my little neighborhood of the new Mickey Mouse Club sound stages back in the day and what they look like now, what was going on then. But I'm really excited to be here.
This is a lot of fun. I love rehashing my childhood because I can guarantee you I never missed a day of the Mickey Mouse Club.
And I didn't either.
Hopefully she didn't because she's a part of it.
I know, but we would tape it too. I would come home and watch that day's episode because remember, we could have been a season ahead of what was broadcasting. So I loved coming home and seeing how they put all of the segments together that a lot of us filmed separately.
So tell everybody, how did you get started in the Mickey Mouse Club? How did you want to become an entertainer?
I was very small when my mother found out that I could actually sing on pitch, stay in one key. She was a small town voice teacher and had a degree in music, and so she really recognized that in me so early that we developed a hobby of singing together. And so I really connect music with my mother, and I love my mother, and so it just became something that we did more and more. We found competitions, and I found on TV the Miss Texas pageant one year when I was like about 7, and so I started competing in talent competitions where I met Chase Hampton and beat him in a competition when I was only 10 and he was 13, I guess.
Really?
So that's where we met. We were enemies. And then a talent agent who was judging one of my last pageants found me and put me into the movie auditions for Why Because We Like You. Now, at this time today, I think yesterday or the day before, Doreen from the original New Mickey Mouse Club has passed away. I was up to play Doreen or Darlene in this original movie called Why Because We Like You. So I saw Chase again for the second time in 1988 at this Mickey Mouse Club audition. And then we were forwarded onto the final auditions for the series at the Grand Floridian Hotel here in Orlando. And I was picked. I will never fully understand, except it was just divine decision, that I was supposed to be their one blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl on that show out of the thousands of kids they auditioned. I'll never understand what they saw in me, but I'm so glad they saw what they saw in me and brought me here because I had never had any kind of experience like a Walt Disney World experience. We had little family vacations, and this was the biggest thing that has ever happened to my family.
What was it like to be on set? Because obviously, like you said, it's a lot of takes, a lot of stop and go. What was it like to do that at such a young age and take direction like that?
Well, it was sort of like my Candyland because I loved performing. I loved live performance. I loved singing and dancing and acting, and I was really good at singing, but the other stuff I was sort of, getting taught how to do that as we went. I was definitely a raw talent. And I was around for the first time a community of kids who loved that same stuff, who could do really well in different facets of performing. So I got to watch experts, Chase, we're bringing him up a lot. Happy belated birthday, Chase. Where he is a fantastic dancer and singer and actor. And so I got to see him just kill it, and I got to see Albert kill it, and I got to see Rocky, one of my favorite voices, Dee Dee, one of my favorite voices, do their thing, and I really looked up to these kids, and I just wanted to be better and better. So I was actually in a time of wanting to be better and better, in a place where I wasn't the best at everything, unlike the talent competitions I'd come from, so it was a time of growth for me, but really just the Candyland of Disney World, everything that comes with Disney World, being able to just step outside the soundstage and go play was amazing. To have a silver pass and be able to take my parents, my friends into Disney World, it is like a kid in a candy store, and my candy was music and entertainment. It was awesome to wake up every day and be able to go do what I loved most, which was singing and dancing and acting.
Now, talk about the Mickey Mouse Club with the first real major band that came out of that was the Party with Chase and Damon and Tiffany and Dee Dee. Why didn't you? And Albert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you join it?
I was very young.
That's right.
I was not, they were 1 or 2 years older than me, everybody in that group. And I think that they wanted a way to continue the talents of these kids, but also let them be a little bit more grown up because they were growing up and I just wasn't there yet. I was a late bloomer for one, but I was younger, and I think I was needed where I was. And so it was a little like, oh, I wish I could go do that, but in a sense, it wasn't my time, and I really love what I got to do for the MMC album, you know, and it was a kind of a bigger group that went on tour. It was like a cool family tour, so I think I was where I needed to be.
Well, one of the cool things about this is that YouTube has a lot of little videos.
Yes.
And one of the things that I remember you singing was Hold On, and we're going to talk about that, probably revisit the spot. You did that, and we're going to talk about that later. But also, I saw you at a Christmas parade with the whole Mickey Mouse Club at Walt Disney World.
Yes.
And that was really cool.
Magic Kingdom had this cool float for us to use. It was decorated differently depending on what holiday it was used for, and we got to use it for Christmas. And so, yes, we recorded our medley for Christmas, and we rehearsed the dancing, and it was cool to be in a different park for a change, to perform on a different path, you know. And I got this like big fun money note at the end of the medley. It was really fun, and of course my mom was just gaga for the fact that I got to do this big note that, you know, I was known for back in the competition days. And really that was one of my shticks here on the show, like just give Jen the big note and we're good, you know. I was happy to, you know, play my part. And I loved doing that parade. It's one of my favorites, one of my favorite memories. For the video, one of my favorite things to do on the show episodes were the music videos. I loved it from top to bottom because you get the song and you learn your song and you learn your part, and then you get to record it in the recording studio. But then you get to go do a bunch of shooting, like whether it was on location at Disney or if it was on location in New York, like Hanging On for Dear Life was. You got a lot of different venues to perform in. Now, for Hold On, it was also one of my favorites, and my favorite moment that I like to talk about is when the lights were so bright. I was sitting actually around New York Street, which is no longer available for us to hang out in in Disney property because I think they're using it for Star Wars now. I think New York Street has turned into Star Wars real estate. But back when New York Street was New York Street, I would sit on the curb and they were filming me for the Hold On video, and the lights were so bright that it started making me tear up, and so I just had to use it. And since it was a very emotional song, you know, I was, no, you know, so, but I really turned away on the lyrics, no, because I could not stand the light anymore. My poor little eyes were just about to bust out. It was so bright. So, you know, you just play it, you know, and that's part of what I learned with the Mickey Mouse Club was how to take what you're given and make the most of it, how to be the most excellent, even in an imperfect moment. And it was just invaluable lessons I learned here.
And talk about imperfect moment. You were telling me about the guy that wipes out in the video on his own.
Yes.
I saw it.
Yes.
I did.
Because back then, I want to say we didn't have dailies. You know, like in movies, they talk about dailies a lot. And you would film a movie back in the day, and you wouldn't know necessarily what you had until you came home and viewed it on a bigger screen, just based on how the film was made. That's how Captain EO was made. You can see some imperfect moments in Captain EO, like duct tape that was left, or the hand connected to a puppet coming out.
Right.
And it's because they couldn't catch it right then and there like we can digitally now. So back before digital, we did have some imperfect moments that you would edit together and not catch until it was finished. So, I mean, that's what made the show very special, was that you took imperfect kids. Like, some of us had a lot of groundwork already professionally, like Albert's, Brandy, Rocky. They came from a lot of professional groundwork, and I was super raw. But you took the imperfections and the normalcy, the kid stuff that made up who we were, and really used that to connect to our audience. And that is something I really appreciate about our show.
One thing I loved about the Mickey Mouse Club is that it really helped people launch careers. I mean, you have Christina Aguilera, you have Britney Spears, you have...
Justin Timberlake is always my first one. He's my little favorite. Don't tell anyone, he's my favorite.
But I mean, look at what it's been able to do, and how did the Mickey Mouse Club help you guys? Because you're doing your own stuff now too. Launch that career.
Well, think about really having sort of a boot camp like just a year long or 2 years long, or in my case, a 6.5 year long boot camp that trains you in your career before it's time to take that next step and really branch out on your own. I mean, it was a safe haven for me to hone my craft. And for me, I felt like I wanted to go back to the roots of performing and take the college years and learn musical theater. But what happened with those who are now celebrities is that they hit the ground running. As soon as the show was officially wrapped, they were able to go out to LA or to New York and really take that resume and all the training and just that next level of being really comfortable with what you do as a performer and find their next place really quickly. You know, I mean, we're also talented. They're also talented. So it's no surprise that when they went out there and that was all that they were focusing on, they hit that next level so quickly. And I was nothing but proud of them and like excited for them. You know, I felt like a little grandma, like with all the old, like ripping out the magazine articles, you know, back before you could just screenshot everything. It was really exciting to see them just launch out and do that. You know, I also had high school friends who knew like Justin or JC, and Joey Fatone became part of NSYNC. You know, if I had been a dude, maybe I would have been a part of NSYNC. I mean, it was such a fun group. It was fun to hang out with them and to hear about their European tour before they hit America. And they were just going through the next level of trials and tribulations and rehearsal and just fitting it all in to become the people that they are now. I mean, NSYNC, I'm sure, wasn't always perfectly in sync, just like the Mouseketeers weren't flawless in learning our lines and knowing our dance moves. There's rehearsal and there's time to get to know each other as a group, and Mickey Mouse Club was the first step of that. And being a solo artist, or in that time, NSYNC, that was the next level of honing your craft and becoming the talent and the personality that you were destined to be.
Well, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little tour of this place.
Yes.
We're going to walk around, go through some of the places that you love, and then we're going to kind of come into your today stuff, and we're going to show you what she's got with her amazing CD. I have it. She autographed it. It's really cool. And we're also going to give you some tidbits about maybe some of her favorite people, like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and all these other guys, and see what she has, little stories that you guys may not know. So let's go do this.
Awesome. Get ready for fun. So back in 1989, this whole area where you now see Pixar Studios and where Toy Story Land will be going up behind me, this was all Backstage. The street to my right, to your left, is where I met the New Kids on the Block for the first time, where Dean Cain, who was like Superman or Superboy, he was filming here and he was on a little motorized skateboard. This is where we had costume try-ons and my first Mickey Mouse Club jacket try-ons, and school was actually just through where the restrooms are over there. I remember dissecting a frog with Chase Hampton on a little picnic table. This was all Backstage. Now, of course, it has turned into where we once taped Mickey Mouse Club. That is now the Toy Story ride, and right now they're under construction to build the full Toy Story Land. So much changed since 1989, but my face is still the same.
Soldier 1, Soldier 2, Soldier 3, Soldier 3, what are you doing out here, everybody? Double time, we want you right there in the middle. Looking good, Private, looking good. Now, my name's Sergeant, I'm in charge. Are we having a day today? Let me hear you say, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, so as you can see, there's so much work being done. Star Wars, I think, is coming back here. I'd have to look at the directory to make sure. But that used to be New York Street. Now, in 1988, my family actually drove our station wagon down the streets and looked at all the different parts of what was New York Street at the time. The park wasn't opened. It didn't open until May 1st, my mother's birthday. It was a very special, weird time to have all of that footage, and I don't know why they let us drive down there. We definitely had permission. But New York Street is where we did some pickups of the video Hanging On for Dear Life. It's where we filmed Hold On, many other ones. I think If You Believe, we filmed that one as well. A lot of fun moments on the New York Street backlot. But now, as you see, we can't get to it anymore. That's just part of the growing pains and the joys of a park like Hollywood Studios. In 1989, when we began filming season 1 of the new Mickey Mouse Club, we were on Soundstage 3, but soon the show became so popular we did have to move to Soundstage 1, where we did share the stage with other cool shows like Star Search, where Rocky, I think, got her start, and I think also Britney Spears was on that. Very cool times here at Soundstage 1. Most of the years, this was our home for the new Mickey Mouse Club. Now, it is Toy Story, the ride. Okay, now maybe this says do not enter, but we are actually going to go down what used to be the backstage. Now we can enter. It's really just a big, amazing part of the Toy Story land coming, and it used to be my little childhood backyard at work. I'm going to take you. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. Come on, we're going. Here we go. What you're looking at is the audience entrance. This is the load-in for Mickey Mouse Club. That's what this area used to be when you're not filming that. Yeah, to the left right there. That was audience load-in, just so you know what that is. Okay, so we are in the heart of where I used to work and play. I'm standing in a place where my school trailer and my costume trailer used to be when we filmed the pilots and when I first went to school, etc. The doors behind me, it's audience load-in. The walls up and down this area that are now Toy Story, they used to be our costume department, our green room for the parents, our script reading room, our drama classes, as well as just a back entrance to our studio sound stage. This was my world for the first few years of the new Mickey Mouse Club.
Here's Jen and the gang with a really hot song, Love You More.
You can make the sun turn purple. You can make the sea turn turtle. But you know you can never make me love you more. You can make dew into diamonds or pacify the lions. But you know you can never make me love you more.
Okay, Tower of Terror, hands down, is my favorite Hollywood Studios ride. I was here before it officially opened, and I was part of the employee line who got to try it out ahead of time. And who was right in front of me in line but Christina Aguilera. And it was like this tall and like this tall. You know, like we were worlds apart in inches there, and I was kind of afraid for her because she was so little. She might have been 13 when we tried out Tower of Terror for the first time before it opened up officially. It was a really fun time, and she's very chill, so she was just very chill throughout. I think her eyes might have widened just a little bit when she basically levitated off of her seat. But we had a great time, and it was a pleasure to test out such an amazing ride with her. So Justin and Britney and Christina and Ryan came on more towards the last little bit of the new Mickey Mouse Club, and at that point the backstage area I talked about earlier became on stage. And so when we walked out of these doors, we were in the park, and so it was really fun to just push open one of those doors and go ride a ride. And I remember Britney being just such a hard worker. She was actually a very calm and unassuming, normal little girl who then would get on the stage and just kill it, just be amazing. Justin was my favorite little talent even back then, and I say little just because he was little. He was a little kid, and I was always so impressed with him. Christina always sounded the way that she sounds now. She always had so much more of an age and a depth to her voice than what she looked like. She was so little. And Ryan Gosling was always a little charmer. We loved those kids. It was a big adjustment to have such an age gap between the oldest Mouseketeer and the youngest Mouseketeer. We were talking about behind these walls, there were kids living and working together and trying to hang out together between the ages of 12 and 21. And that was a lot of work sometimes for, about 30 kids trying to figure that out, from time to time over the years. I remember one of my favorite little moments with Justin backstage was, one of those backstage secrets is that I had hair extensions when I did the Hanging On for Dear Life video in New York, because it's hard to manage hair with humidity, and so they wanted to weigh it down and make it a little fuller to save time with the hair and makeup department on location in New York. So when I came home from that and I was hanging out with Justin on the couch, he wanted to feel the hair extensions. And so just beyond these doors, we have our dressing rooms. And there was a time where Justin Timberlake would stick his head onto my scalp and feel all the funny little glued-in extensions I had after I came home from filming the Hanging On for Dear Life video. So that's it for those guys.
So now we're going to be talking about the newest part of your life endeavors, which is your brand new CD that just dropped.
Yes.
Tell us about this CD.
The CD is 16 songs long if you get the CD or the deluxe digital version. And it is a cross-section of my faith journey, really from the time of the new Mickey Mouse Club into now, being 40. I've traveled a lot of spiritual road, a lot of emotions. And so I co-wrote all of the new songs, and I've covered like 5 worship songs. Oh no, there's shots fired! We're right by Indiana Jones, which I love because my CD is all about spiritual warfare, battling, and there's definitely some stunts that were pulled in my life that I talk about on the CD. Nice battle tank behind us. So it's all about being a warrior, being spiritually strong, really fighting to defeat the fear in your life, to live full of faith. Lots of F's, I guess. It is faith-filled, and it's very pop inspirational music.
Is it hard to stay faith-based, basically because everybody's being completely attacked now for their faith, depending on what it is?
It's absolutely the opposite journey for me. For so long, I didn't know how to deal with faith. I didn't know where faith belonged in my life, and because of that I really let the world beat me down. Like a lot of the standards of showbiz, a lot of my peers or other entertainment aspects, I really let a lot of negativity prevail in my life. Sort of the trappings of this kind of showbiz life, or being a career kid, being a young kid star. It was very dangerous when you're letting everybody else tell you who you are. But now, because I went through really dark times and I saw how much faith has changed my life, there is no other way to do it. It doesn't matter what kind of persecution happens. This is the way that I know I'm going to glorify God and be the best and most purpose-filled person that I can be. So there's no looking back now. There's no turning back from my faith.
You really can't. And, I didn't realize it myself as I've gone through my stuff. And it is amazing how God works. And people keep saying, oh, God doesn't help me, God doesn't do this. Have you really opened up your eyes to what He's given you, what you've avoided, or what He's given you right in front of your face that you maybe didn't take?
Right. And there's a very easy correlation between being a child star and everything being about you, right? But in the rest of the world, in like the people who aren't like show kids, we can also think about everything is about us. And something that, God taught me is that it's not all about me. Just because I follow Him, it doesn't mean that life is going to be perfect. But through the mistakes as well as the best things, when you let God work through your life, that's actually the best service that you can give Him. And you've got to ask yourself, your path with God, is it all about you or is it all about God? That's where my big turning point in my faith came from, making it all about Him.
And how did that happen?
Well, it was all about me for a long time. I was consumed with the negativity of what wasn't going on in my life, the warfare, just like these bullets that we're hearing in Indiana Jones. I was consumed with what was flying at me, with how I was being attacked, and all the negativity in my life and what I didn't have. And I did not allow God to show me what I did have in Him, in this world, in my gifts, in my purpose, until everything was stripped away. Almost even my last name. Almost everything in my identity was taken away from me because I made choices without God. And when I was at my rock bottom and I said, Lord, I've done everything wrong, I really confessed my mistakes and how I didn't want to live without Him anymore, without being in the center of my life, that is when my life changed, because then I made sure I checked with Him on anything and everything. And there's a different kind of peace of mind. This world is going to throw trials and tribulations. It's a broken world and nobody's perfect. But with God in the center and having Him be at the forefront of all your decision making, the peace of mind that you experience and the everyday freedoms you experience are worlds apart from anything I ever experienced before.
So tell me, because obviously the CD, like you said, it is your story.
Yes.
What song best fits you? Like, they all do, but there's always that one that's just like, okay, this is me. This is something I really want people to get over. What is that song? What's the message? And how personal is it to you?
You're right. Every set of lyrics is very personal. But I think that the song What I Know Now is really bridging the gap. I can't not react. I'm like, oh no! When I was under fire, when I was like 12, that's when I first experienced all the explosions of a young child star life. What I Know Now talks about what I experienced when I was little, but then also what I know now about faith being in the middle of those types of fights or those attacks spiritually in my life. And so it bridges the gap between where it all began in my life of hardship, personally, just that emotional hardship, that spiritual hardship, and where I've come to now. So that is the big sum up, I would say. And basically I'm singing not only to my little girl self when I really felt that shift begin, that negative shift begin, but I'm also singing to any other person, young or old, anywhere in between, who's experiencing that same type of attack, telling them that there is hope. So that's my big sum up, personally.
Now, you've always had a great voice. You sang in the Mickey Mouse Club. You sang probably after Mickey Mouse Club.
Yes.
What took so long between that time and now to be able to put out this record?
I think that God was keeping me from a lot of the dangers of being a star past when I was a little kid and I had my parents to protect me. I think that I was so much of an empty vessel that God knew better than to let me have what I wanted when I wanted it. I am blessed that I got to be a singer almost like undercover. I've been singing. I've sung in all the different Disney parks, as well as Holy Land Experience, in SeaWorld, Universal Studios. I've sung all over the world. I've recorded for other people. I've co-written for other people. I've worshipped on platforms throughout the United States. And that's covered the last, 25 years or so of my career. I've also taught others, and I'm bringing up the next generation of artists in artist development. And all of that's very fulfilling. And God allowed me to stay in the business and to keep my craft going and to do what I love, but under the radar, showing me that it's not all about me and it's not all about fame, that I can do what he wants me to do without the world knowing about it. It's just as special if it's for him. It took so long because I was so stubborn. It took so long because it took the right executive producer to come along and say, you know what, this is worth investing in. Because I'm not ambitious enough to have done it all by myself. And I think now through this album, I do feel more ambitious to tackle the next EP and the next EP, and to keep giving music for the glory of God and not for the glory of fame.
Do you think that maybe it took also this time and you had to go through these experiences because God wanted to use you as a example for other people?
Yes, I would say that whether it's my Mouseketeer friends, the Mickey Mouse Club fans looking in on my life, or it's my family and friends, even my husband, I would say that there is a big difference between how I used to think and how I think now. And to see the trials and tribulations and how my mistakes, as well as God's grace, has shaped my life, I think that can only take time and trial and error and healing, and then doing a better thing the next time. I mean, it takes living that example. It basically living that example through my life and then through my music. I wouldn't have had this kind of album had I not been a hot mess for a minute.
We all got to be a hot
and
mess.
been an example for other people,
Yeah.
So yes, nowadays I'm unashamed to talk about the mistakes and the hot messes of my life, because I want people to understand that nobody's perfect and that there is always grace, there's always hope. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you have a renewal of your identity and a renewal of your purpose through God.
And he's forgiving. So even if you do get off the track again, which it will happen, more likely, so
that's right.
We're human.
Something else I like to talk about is that, the album's called Unbreakable. And there's a difference between living in a broken world and being broken, being open and vulnerable in the presence of God, and how he puts us back together to live an unbreakable life. If we're vulnerable and open where God is concerned, we are strong and armored up in the life that we're living in this broken world, right? It's the difference between you can do it scared, you have fear, but living a fearless life means that you see that fear and then you deal with it spiritually instead of letting it win. We don't let this world win. We don't let fear win. That's how you live an unbreakable life, and that's how you live fearless. That's what my album talks about.
And something, you probably have to go through some of these trials and tribulations, because when you do come out and talk about your faith to anybody, especially people that don't believe, my gosh, I'll tell you what, that is a war. And they can attack you like crazy, but you got to be strong inside to be able to accept that. That's their opinion.
That's right.
But not let it break you.
I think that if you talk about God only from a knowledge standpoint, a learned, educated standpoint, I think that you're missing the point of connecting with someone else. I think that to live an imperfect life and to see how God can show up and mold that life into something for his glory is the only way to really show the example of God's love to someone who hasn't met God yet. And so yes, I think it's extremely impactful, and almost, I would say, it's necessary. You can't live without a personal story of how God has touched your life and be able to have a conversation with someone who's still feeling that kind of thing out, like still a seeker. That's what this album is all about. That's why it's now that this album is coming out, because I have the stories to back up the healing and the rejuvenation, the restoration that I've had in my life. You have to go through some stuff to really have the attention of anyone,
Yeah, you do.
And to tell your story and make it count,
So, Unbreakable's out. You've been touring obviously putting on some concerts and stuff for people.
Yes.
How can people find the CD, and how can people see you in concert if you have anything? And you also are a vocal coach.
Yes.
So if you want to learn how to sing, not sing like Scuttle, like I do, but sing like an actual human being should sing, she can help you do that. How can they find out about all the stuff that you got going?
That's right. Okay, so first, www.jennifermcgill.com. That's where you can go for all things Unbreakable. I have an online store where you can buy the CD, and the CD is the only place where you have the full credits of all the production of every song. If you buy the download card that's also offered in the website, you'll get the lyrics to all of the songs attached to your digital downloads. There's also just the basic digital download, there's iTunes, there's also Amazon. So if you Google Jennifer McGill Unbreakable, you're gonna find it on one of those large music platforms. If you want to get in touch with me personally, I have a public Facebook page that I run. If you message me, it is coming to me. You can ask me about vocal coaching. You can book me for gigs, but also through my website, there will be a way to book me officially for anything. I would love to come worship at your church. I would love to come give a talk about my life, about living an unbreakable life, about living fearless. I'm also on all those social medias. I've got at the Jennifer McGill Instagram, at the Jen McGill Twitter, and Facebook. I already talked about it. YouTube. I'm going to put a lot of new content on YouTube from my 2017 Pledge Music campaign. So if you subscribe to my YouTube page, just Jennifer McGill YouTube, you can see the Unbreakable video, as well as all of the live performances I've logged on there so far.
Now, before we go, I'm going to do a magic trick because we're going to make we're going to make your album appear for everybody to see.
Oh gosh, do I need to get ready for this?
Yes, you do. So, okay, I'm going to hold out my hand.
All right, hold on. I have to really find it.
And I'm gonna make
Not
this.
ready.
I'm gonna make this thing just pop up, right?
Okay.
So here we go. I'm gonna sprinkle it with pixie dust because we're here at Disney World. So here it comes. Oh, look! Here it is. Oh my gosh! Look at that! It's right here. Do you believe that?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And now I'm gonna make it go away. So that is her CD.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna actually get the whole thing. I'm not gonna make it just appear. She's gonna ship it to you, obviously, safely.
Yes.
And guys, really cool. She also will autograph it for you too.
Yes, there's an option. Make sure you read all the fine print and make sure you choose the option that I can autograph it and personalize it. Yeah, that'd be fabulous. I would love to do that.
Well, Jen, thank you for coming out here and spending this amazing day with us, showing us some amazing things about your past, learning about Hollywood studios. Hopefully you guys will be able to check this out because I try to document it pretty good.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best on your CD and any other CD that you have coming out and everything else you have going on in your life.
Thank you. Well, I hope to see you guys real soon at one of my social media platforms, and this has been amazing.
A lot of fun.
Yes.
So until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Nothing can separate us. Nothing can come between us now. Nothing can take away, break away the power of love. Settles on the ground. I hear you. The walls are falling.
because we like you.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.